This is much more free form. Hey guys, how is it going? Just getting everybody connected here. We'll give everyone a couple minutes to get their Schrock connections rolling. So that was the first time we've actually had a guest on the program in a very long time. Ginger purchased a website from us, and it wasn't for lack of people buying websites. Sometimes the business owners don't want to come on the air, which makes no sense to me, or they don't think it's valuable. So they just don't want to. You guys have no idea how much a minute of KFAB airtime sells for. Like, if I'm going to give you 6 minutes of KFAB airtime as part of buying a website, you should definitely do that segment. Just saying. Just saying. But what do you guys want to talk about here? I've got some things that I've suggested, obviously, that I want to hit on. But that's the cool thing about the After Schrock. This is a place where whatever doesn't fit in the show fits here. So we're going to give everybody a couple minutes to get connected. But in the meantime, one of the things that I've been seeing a lot of emails about this week, last week on the show, I mentioned the idea of giving Bitcoin as a Christmas gift. And that must have intrigued a couple people. Of course, it didn't hurt that Bitcoin had a massive rally this week, shot up to almost $19,000. I think it got up to $18,940 before it dropped back down and corrected a little bit. But it's within striking distance of $20,000 a coin by the end of the year. It's only supposed to be, in my opinion, around 14 at this point, but so we might be a little inflated. I did sell some of my Bitcoin because I think that there's some profit-taking opportunity here. But if you're holding on to Bitcoin for the long haul, there is a valid argument that Bitcoin could be worth middle six figures by 2024. So if you give somebody a Bitcoin, which would be obviously a massive Christmas gift. That's like a $17,000 Christmas gift. Just give them a car too. Why not? But if you were going to give somebody like $100 in Bitcoin, for example, that Bitcoin could be worth considerably more money going forward in the future. The question is, nobody knows how to do it yet. And one of the big things that's caused Bitcoin to go so parabolic, for so many people to be interested in it, is the fact that PayPal has started to allow you to purchase and transact in Bitcoin. But there's a catch. I would not use PayPal to purchase my Bitcoin if I were you. Here's the reason. You can't take it out of your wallet. One of the key tenets, you hear this about people who invest in gold, right? They call them stackers. Doesn't matter what's going on in the world, just keep stacking. Just keep stacking. It's real money, real wealth, real store of value, right? People who are against that form of investing would say you're an idiot because your precious rock in your safe isn't making you more money. It's not working for you. You're just hoping that it magically outpaces inflation. Well, guess what? It's not. And there's a case to be made in the long term, and I'm talking long term like 500-year long term, for like generational wealth, that gold could become very unvaluable in the next 500 years because it's rare on Earth, but it's plentiful in space. And so we're already talking about mining first asteroids in 2022. When that stuff starts to happen, guys, and we start figuring out that there's like gold, silver, rare earth elements all over the place in space, and we actually have infrastructure to get those things, it's going to change the idea of wealth. And so the concept of Bitcoin is the community agrees. Basically, the only way you can change Bitcoin is everyone in the community decides to change it. And you can literally vote. And I won't get into all that. But there's a certain amount that will be minted, and that is it. It has not all been minted yet, but the vast majority of Bitcoin has been minted. If every millionaire on Earth wanted to own one Bitcoin, Bitcoin would already be worth $1 million. That's the growth potential that Bitcoin has. So if you want to give somebody some Bitcoin, the best way to do it is to go get yourself an account at Coinbase, Coinbase.com. Coinbase is a international, widely regulated, protected, reputable company. So they're not a fly-by-night place. They've been around since day one. They know their stuff. Go to Coinbase and get an account. But guess what? To get an account at Coinbase and to actually buy Bitcoin, they weren't born yesterday. Everybody wants to buy Bitcoin, right? Wink, wink. I found this credit card in the gas pump. I'm going to go buy some Bitcoin. They're not going to let you just buy a bunch of Bitcoin, right? So you're going to have to verify your identity, which means you're going to have to send in pictures of your passport or your driver's license to verify your identity, where a human will look at them. They can't validate ballots yet through this magical technology of the human eye, but they can look at your driver's license front and back and say, that's you from the picture that you took here. Okay, that's you. Got it. Identity verified. Now we have to verify payment method. So you have to associate a bank account, right? And then when you go to buy Bitcoin, they don't just let you walk in the door and buy like 1,000 Bitcoin. You have to buy like 0.01 Bitcoin, and then you have to wait a week to make sure the transaction clears your account. And then they let you buy another 0.01. And then after that transaction clears the account, they might raise your limit to 0.1 Bitcoin. So there's a process you have to go through to get to the point where we're at Schrock, where if a customer comes in with a computer infected with ransomware and we need Bitcoin to unlock it, we can go to Coinbase and buy Bitcoin. Even with that, with a bank account that's associated, identity confirmed, bank account confirmed, positive purchase history with no return purchases, it still takes us 7 days to buy Bitcoin. So if you're thinking about giving Bitcoin for Christmas, you want to start the Bitcoin train now. The next question is, how do you present a Bitcoin, right? Like, it's digital currency. There's no physical thing. And you want to have a physical thing, right? Go online, go on eBay. There are tons of people who either 3D print or actually have cast metal Bitcoins. They're not really Bitcoins, okay? It's a coin with a Bitcoin symbol on it. And it would be a cute way you could put that in a coin box or like a ring box or something. And then the actual gift you're giving is a tiny slip of paper with a private key written on it. That private key allows anyone with a Bitcoin wallet to import that Bitcoin into their wallet. So think about it this way. You're giving them a piece of paper with an Amazon gift code on it that they can go to Amazon.com, type in the gift code, and buy whatever they want. It's the same thing. Okay? So don't let the whole private key thing blow you up. So if you want to give Bitcoin for Christmas, that's how you probably want to do it. Don't go to localbitcoins.com and try to buy Bitcoin. They're all scams. They're all charging you 50% more. If you're going to buy it and give it. Don't try to trade it. Bitcoin is volatile. It is unpredictable. This year's low was $3,000. This year's high is $19,000. So, yeah, you're feeling like a king if you bought one at $3,000. Woohoo! You're feeling like a dope if you didn't. You're feeling like a dope if you bought one the day before at $13,000. Right? It went down to 3. You're like, oh, it just lost $10,000. That's the thing. You have to stop. The challenge with Bitcoin is to stop thinking about it in terms of the U.S. dollar, as what it's worth in U.S. dollars. Because you see, the value of Bitcoin, ideally, doesn't change. Because there's a fixed amount of Bitcoin. The only thing that changes is the value of the dollar. So if the dollar becomes worth less, you get more dollars for your Bitcoin. So it's kind of an inflation hedge. It has a lot of the similar properties to gold as far as store of value. The challenge is because it's completely digital and it's not something you physically hold in your hand like a rock, right? Guys, I'm not dissing gold. I've got a safe in the basement too, okay? I'm just saying you should have a little Bitcoin. Give a little Bitcoin for Christmas. All the littles will love it. Like especially if you put a little Bitcoin and they're like, I have a Bitcoin. They run around. Like, I think 2 years ago there was a story about like how the TSA seized Bitcoin at a checkpoint, and you're just like, how did they seize the Bitcoin? Did they hold the guy down and tell me your key, tell me your private key, tell me your wallet key now? Did they get the light on him? How do you do that? How do you extract Bitcoin from somebody? It's not a physical thing. It's not like here's what probably happened. The dude was giving away Bitcoin as gifts, right? And he got himself like a bunch of those Bitcoin, tokens basically that are like metals is the numismatic term for them. They're a metal. They're not a coin. They're a metal, and it just is a circular chunk of metal with a Bitcoin symbol on it. And the TSA is like, you're transporting 47 Bitcoins. I know that symbol. That's Bitcoin. There's 47 of them here at $19,000 a piece. You're in excess of section 149 or delta whatever, and you have too much Bitcoin. We're going to take it all from you now. I mean, the world's full of them, guys. You just can't avoid them. You just got to learn to live with them. All right, so let's take a look here. Good morning, Randy. How are you doing? Having my coffee and watching the show, Roger. I'm right there with you, my man. Right there with you. Mitch, welcome aboard. Top fan Mitch, top fan Roger. Wow, it's a roll of top fans here. We got Winston. Audio sounds good. Thank you, Winston. All right, Ronald, can you update us on what you think is going on with the voting machines? If the lawyers can't get across to the machines, they are dead in the water. Oh, I was hoping no one would ask me about this today. I can't help it, guys. I'm trying to. I know Sarah's going to jump in here and say no politics, and so I am going to try to keep it as apolitical as possible. But it is not looking good. It's not looking good, guys. If you're a Trump supporter, it's not looking good. Okay, so let me give you hopeful news that you're probably not hearing about. The Supreme Court is going to hear, the U.S. Supreme Court is going to hear a number of election-related cases brought forward by attorneys representing the Trump administration. They have assigned the initial, I don't understand exactly how this works, forgive me, I haven't looked into the nuts and bolts of it, but my understanding is that the justices that are going to be in charge of those cases are all the conservative justices. So if you want to make an argument there that if there is some kind of political bias, you would hope there's not. I mean, we can all say that we hope that the Supreme Court would actually rule on the law and not rule based on who appointed them. I mean, Justice Roberts is a perfect example of that, right? He rules on what he feels the law is. Doesn't really matter who appointed him, right? That doesn't work with all the justices, obviously, but you'd hope that that would be the case, that they're not going to legislate from the bench. The big concern that I have here is I don't think this is going to. I don't think this is where I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to lose half my audience right here. I don't think this is going to get overturned in the courts, guys. I don't think they're going to stop it in the courts. I think the only place it can be stopped, if you're of the opinion that it's been stolen, the only place that you're going to unsteal it is with the electors. And that, you already see the media setting that up. Unprecedented to what did he call it? I'm trying to remember the exact word that they used. So Trump asked the Speaker of the Michigan House, the state legislature, to come to the White House. Summoned. He was summoned to the White House. Hear ye, powder your wig and come to the White House. You have been summoned under penalty of death. It wasn't quite like that. Summoned might be a strong word. Invited. Asked to come to talk about the voting situation. And immediately, see, the thing is, the legislature in the state gets to decide who the electors are. They get to decide the individual human beings that are going to go and vote in the Electoral College. See, people are under the misconception that the population decides who the president is. You don't. Your vote is inconsequential in many states. Some states have laws that say you can't have a faithless elector. It doesn't matter who wins the popular vote. The Electoral College is what matters. But everybody has come to the understanding that if so many electoral votes in your state indicate a person won, that the electors have to go vote for that person. They do not. They can vote for whoever the heck they please in most cases. Normally, it's the governor and the legislature that instruct the electors on who to vote for. And so then there could be laws that you have to follow. The electors must follow the will of the legislature, must follow the will of the governor, the legislature, or the will of the people. There's laws and all the states are different. But it's possible that you could have electors go to the Electoral College in a state that Biden technically on paper has won with a certified vote count, and they could vote for Trump. Imagine what would happen. And so immediately, as soon as Trump asked the Michigan speaker to come to the White House, literally even Fox News was going off on this. Can you believe how awful this is? How the pressure that's going to be, and of course, MSNBC was like, "This is full tricky Dicky stuff here." I mean, he's gonna mastermind evil fascist Trump is gonna get this guy. He's gonna threaten his wife and child. He's gonna take away all of his money and destroy his business or whatever if he doesn't go send the electors to vote for him. And so all this was going out in the media while this meeting happened. And in the meeting, they literally released a transcript of the meeting afterward because they realized how it looked. So they released a transcript of the meeting. The meeting was literally what's the situation with the voting machines in Michigan? What do you know? What do you suspect? What can you prove? What can't you prove? Thank you for coming. I appreciate your input. Trump just sat and listened. He didn't threaten their children or demand that they send the electors to vote for him or steal the election back or anything like that. None of that happened. But in the meantime, Biden gets asked one question by a reporter about coronavirus, and he literally explodes on the guy for asking a question. Well, you're being rude. Why do you always have to be that way? And if you listen to the guy asking the question, I mean, if only Trump would have had reporters asking him questions like that for 4 years. I mean, maybe he wouldn't call them fake news all the time and blow up in their faces, I guess. I don't know. It's just, regardless of the politics of the situation, One of the things that I think people want is just a little bit of decency in the discussion, right? Let's have some mutual respect for each other as human beings who disagree politically, and we can disagree politically, and we can disagree aggressively in a political way. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Nobody wants to be locked away and not be able to hang out with their family on Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Now, you may believe the risk is higher if you're in one population or the other. Coronavirus doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. That's one of the reasons I make it a point. I don't like wearing masks, guys. I really don't. No, I don't think anybody really loves wearing the masks, right? When I don't have to wear one, like in the studio here, when it's just me and the board op, I'm not wearing a mask. I don't wear a mask at home. There are people that I know that wear masks at home with their family. There are people who are by themselves in their car, driving down the road, wearing a mask. And I'm like, is the coronavirus going to come in through the vents and get you? Like, there are people who are just afraid, and the mask makes them feel better. I'm not going to take that from them. Why would? It's not important. That's not what somebody said the other day. Our scout troop, right? We had to start meeting indoors because of weather, and so now we were meeting indoors, and we're in Douglas County, which has a mask mandate, so we all have to wear masks. And there was this really delicately worded email that went out to everybody about, some of us have differing political views, but this is the law. We have to do this. And I came in, and literally there at the front door, they were checking to make sure everyone was wearing a mask. And when I came to the door with my son, and we were wearing our masks, and the troop committee chair thanked us for wearing our masks and thanked us for not making a big deal about it. And I looked at her, I said, this isn't the hill to die on. I mean, I'll wear the mask if you want me to wear the mask. This is not life altering, right? However you believe the mask works, don't work, it doesn't matter. If it makes people more comfortable, it's not that much of an inconvenience for me to wear one for a while. Okay, I'm not saying I'm going to start up my own line. Rush Limbaugh had a tie line, for a long time when he did Rush TV. Now I'm going to start the compute this mask line, you see, and you too could have a compute this mask or compute that mask or whatever else. I'm not going to start a mask line, guys. I don't want to wear them forever. This too will pass eventually someday, and then you have people who argue against that. When you say the comforting thing that you guys, coronavirus will eventually pass, just like the pandemic of 1918 eventually went away. Eventually, it is fine. This will happen too with coronavirus. No, it won't. We're going to live with it forever. We're going to be fearful of our lives for the rest of our lives. And if you can't accept that, you're an idiot. What a horrible way to live your life. Being afraid all the time. That's something that is so tiny. And again, I'm thinking about it logically, and I got my dad's coin microscope out the other day because I was looking at some of the coins he had in his collection. And I'm sitting here looking at a microscope, and the thought occurs to me, I wonder if I can see a coronavirus with this coin microscope. Duh. Obviously you can't, third grade education guy. No. Thor Schrock, the science guy? That's stupid. You can't see a virus with a 10-time magnification coin microscope. But you put your cloth mask under that, you can see the holes in the weave. Do you really think the cloth mask is filtering out coronavirus? I have my doubts. Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. Let's be pragmatists. Let's be realistic about it. So as far as the voting machines go, guys, Dominion is lawyering up now, is what I've read in the big headlines. Dominion doesn't show for oversight hearing. Lawyers up. One of the best scenes of all the Iron Man movies is when Congress compels Tony Stark to appear before Congress because he's built the Iron Man suit of armor and he is a threat and a menace, and they're gonna the congressmen are all like, going out there, and he basically flips some double birds and says, you can stick it where you want. It's my stuff. Welcome to America, yeehaw. I'll build what I want to build, and you guys can try to stop me. Go for it. What are you going to do? Of course, that's a movie. That's not reality. Dominion doesn't have to appear. You can subpoena Dominion. They didn't subpoena Dominion. They requested them to appear. Dominion declined. Dominion realized this will probably result in a subpoena. They made the wise decision of hiring some lawyers. This is normal company stuff, guys. This is what a company would do. It's shocking to me that Dominion, first of all, wouldn't have an American branch that is a U.S. company. They're a Canadian company? What? We have a Canadian company counting votes? who hires Smartmatic, who is what, UK or something, or they're from Europe somewhere. What? This is crazy. Other countries use Dominion voting systems, and they have been manipulated successfully in the past for dictators and other elections. There's a way to do that. There's a way to do anything with a computer. Now the question is, did it happen here? And if it did happen here, the second question is, can you prove that it happened here beyond a reasonable doubt in the next 20 days? Let's be realistic, guys. The law doesn't move that fast. There's no way you're going to prove that in 20 days. So here's my prediction. My prediction is the Trump administration will win some court cases, they will lose some court cases, but the number of court cases they win will not be sufficient to change the overall results of the Electoral College as displayed on any of the media sources. Okay? The electors will then feel pressure to change their votes or to vote differently. That will be the next media story that you hear all next week. Which states have electors that have laws that compel them to vote in line with the popular vote? Which states could flip? What happens if this state flips or that state flips? Of the states that can flip, which one of those have Republican governors and Republican houses of Congress, basically, or Republican governmental structures that could potentially throw this to Trump, who could steal it from Joe Biden? And that, as much as any Trump supporter feels like the election's been stolen from them, if that happens, Democrats are going to feel the same way. So I can tell you, I've had conversations with people, and there's definitely two camps where this falls into. There's the camp of people who are like, you know what? There comes a point when the burn the village to save the village thing kind of kicks in, and if we do this, we're going to destroy the village, and then we'll be ruling its ruins. So there are Republicans that don't want to fight anymore. They're ready to say, you know what? This isn't the hill to die on. That they're ready to do that. Then you have the other camp of Republicans that are like, why don't we fight like Democrats? You know, if this was reversed right now, Nancy Pelosi would be doing this. You know, she would burn the House down to get what she wanted. Why don't we fight like that? Why do we always have to be the honorable ones that give in to save for the greater good? Why? And of course, you could look at Al Gore and say, he gave in, but maybe he lost the election. Well, they're saying the same thing about Trump. So I don't know how it's going to end, guys. I'm a pragmatist. I have my suspicions that anyone who believes that this is a slam dunk for the Trump administration is delusional. This is not a slam dunk. This is anything but a slam dunk. This is the long shot of long shots off of a bank shot off of the moon with nothing but net to make this happen, if you think that's going to happen. It's crazy. Even when Tucker Carlson is even saying, there's evidence, guys, but can you please show it to me? And then, all of a sudden, he's a villain. You're burning the village to save it here. You're burning down every conservative icon on every media source if they don't immediately agree. And I don't know, one of the things that I told my wife, and Sarah, this is for you too. I just want people in the media that tell me the truth, that tell me what is happening. So, I tried watching Newsmax, because everyone's like, oh, well, look at Newsmax, they're the new Fox News or whatever. So I'm watching Newsmax, and it's literally like, the news anchor is like, so, you know I'm on your side here. You know that I support President Trump fully. But can you tell me exactly how we're going to take this presidency back that was stolen from us in a righteous way? That's the news. That's not opinion. That's news. And I'm like, that's not news. That's not what I want. And then you watch Fox and you see, mix of both. I just want someone to get on the thing and to say, this is what's happening. This is what, I don't need you to predict the future. Just tell me what's happening. Let me draw my own conclusions. You can't get that anywhere now. That's gone. Because if you do that, you lose 70% of both sides. And then you're left with this like mushy middle. CNN tried to do that and look where it got them. It doesn't work. So that's all I want. So now you're left digging through Liberty Daily, figuring out which things that Alex Jones posts is actually true and which things are absolute bat loony. Because some of it is. You're trying to figure out, which segments on Fox are like Lou Dobbs, who like literally the president could stab somebody in the face, and they'd be like, well, that person deserved it. Next in the news, or Maria Bartiromo does a good job of splitting the difference. Yeah. So let me lay this on you right now. So setting the politics of it aside, this is what Joe Biden is going to step into. At the end of the year, all unemployment insurance that is enhanced, it ends. So anyone on unemployment goes down to whatever the state provides at that point. There is no federal enhancement. At the end of the calendar year this year, the eviction moratorium expires. So landlords will once again, you probably didn't, maybe you didn't realize this because you've been paying your mortgage, but if you hadn't been paying your mortgage since March, you still are in your house and they can't evict you, but they can start at the end of the year. So especially private landlords who have apartment buildings and things like that, like real people who use this as income, they're going to have the eviction notices pre-printed, pre-stamped. They may even mail them the night before because we all know postmarks don't matter anymore. So it's going to happen. Lots of people are going to get evicted. The eviction moratorium, which in some states they have it on commercial property as well. There are businesses that have been living rent-free for this entire pandemic. Why do you think that, everything's better now, right? But inventories are still low. Have you noticed that? You go places and there's not a lot of stuff to buy, or the shelves are only 2 items deep instead of 5 items deep. That's an indication to you that there is a financial hardship going on or a supply chain problem. And it's a little bit of both right now, especially in small businesses. So you go in and look at that. There's some places that are going to end up with a $30, $40, $50, $60, $100,000 rent bill that they can't pay, and they're going to get booted in January, and they're going to have to shut down or go digital or find another place to, they're going to get sued. And most business owners, especially small business owners, I have to personally guarantee every lease the company signs. So when I take a lease for a space for 5 years, I personally guarantee that. So if Schrock fails, I fail. So if their business fails, they fail. So there is going to be a mountain of not pleasantness rolling down the hill at warp speed at the end of the year. That's why Joe Biden is literally begging Nancy Pelosi to please make a deal with the Republicans right now. Because there's not time on January 20th to fix it. It's already happened. All those people are already evicted. All those businesses are already shut. Now, there are politicians among us who'll be like, serves that guy right. Good for him. If Trump was winning, Nancy Pelosi wouldn't do this either. So, hopefully everybody can get together and realize, there's got to come a point where you can't let people live rent free in other people's property. That's got to happen. At the other point, though, at the other end of the spectrum, you can't just say, pay up now or you're out. So there's got to be some way, work it out with your landlord kind of thing. But you should have been doing that before. You shouldn't have been counting on a moratorium to pay the rent this whole time, or to prevent your eviction. Some people did, and they're going to get evicted, and there's nothing to stop that. And the federal government could step in with a bailout package. What are you going to do? Pay their back rent and call it good? Just keep up on your rent from now on. Or are they just going to extend the moratorium again and give landlords a way to, they're just going to socialize rent, basically. So it's a really messy situation. And unfortunately, I think the best way to get out of it is going to be creative destruction. I don't think Nancy Pelosi is going to pass anything with the president. Fun times. So anyway, the voting machines, I don't think they're going to prove it in time. Unfortunately, if there was something that happened, I was under the impression that there's a physical tape in each machine that records the votes. Now I'm hearing things about memory cards. So if there is not a physical record in the machine, if it's all memory cards that everything is saved on, that's just a digital record. It can be altered just as easily as any other digital record. Then, the things about feeding multiple stacks of ballots to the machine multiple times is concerning. You would think each ballot has a unique code on it, so that can't happen. I mean, I'm just thinking system design here. What if a human being makes a human being mistake and is feeding ballots to the machine and the box falls off the table and knocks over all the ballots on the floor? Now you don't know which ones have gone through the machine and which ones haven't. Real world problem, right? Well, if each ballot has a unique identifying number on it, that's not a problem. Why can't we do that? Every letter the IRS sends has a unique identifying number on it. Every letter the state sends has a unique identifying case number on it. Every police report has a unique number. Why can't every ballot? And there's no identity required. It's just like, this is a piece of paper. This is piece of paper number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why not? Probably didn't do that, though. Alrighty, let's see. Good morning. Good morning, Mark. What were you saying about Santa? Now, what was that you were saying about Santa? Okay, so guys, I am trying to be aware of the possibility that young ears could be listening right now. So I didn't want to suggest in any way, shape, or form that there should be any doubt in the existence of Santa. But there comes a time in every young person's life, if you know what I mean, where they doubt the existence of Santa. And one of the things that we did with our son is we said, the joy you're going to get now by watching your younger brother experience all this is going to be the joy that it's going to bring you joy. Because, he was bummed, right? He's like, oh, you got to be kidding me, right? And so then all of a sudden his younger brother is going to come along. And he didn't just realize this when he was 14, guys, but his younger brother is going to come along and he gets to, tell him all the stories and get to leave the snacks out and put the reindeer snacks outside and everything else. All the stuff you do, the Christmas traditions that you do, you realize at a certain age that you're not doing that for yourself. You're doing that for the people younger than you. And then as you age out, you come to that transition time where you have to become the person who does it for the people younger than you. So that's all I was talking about there. All right. You want to gift the printer that you sell. How long to get one? We have the printers in stock. So the printers are in the service center. When we order replacements, I have replacements that I ordered in September that will be delivered this month. So I've been trying to get ahead and ordering in anticipation. So some things I have I have a lot of hard drives. A lot of hard drives. And I don't have a lot of Intrepid laptops. Those are a little short on inventory right now, so we're bringing them in as fast as we can. Do I know anything about MeWe? I have heard of MeWe. I know it's a social media platform. It's an alternative social media platform. It's supposed to be a counter to Facebook, I think, but I have not actually used MeWe. I haven't looked into it myself. Hey, guys, I am doing my best here. I established a Parler presence. You can follow me on Parler at Thor Schrock. Or excuse me, at T Schrock, because Thor was taken, obviously. So was Schrock. Just Schrock was taken. There's a lot of Schrocks on Parler. I don't understand it. But T Schrock, at T Schrock is my Parler handle. You can follow me there. On Facebook, I do have a personal Facebook account, but that's for family stuff, so I keep that separate. Parler, there is no separation, so it's just going to be like everything together. So you're going to get some compute this, and you're going to get some pictures of family, and you're just going to have to deal with it. How long should it take to upload a 1.4 gigabyte file to Dropbox? It's been over 12 hours. My internet upload is 7.4 megabytes per second. Okay, so 7.4 is pretty slow. It's going to take a long time. Now the question though is your internet upload is 7.4, but that may not be the upload speed that Dropbox is giving you. So 1.1 or 1.4 gigabit or gigabytes over 12 hours, yeah, I would give it a day. I have a gigabit internet connection, so my upload speed is significant. It's not a gigabit upload, but it's significantly faster than 7.4. It's like 30 or 40, I think. I could probably upload a 1.4 gig file in about 12 hours. So it's going to take you 24, maybe 48, depending on, number one, make sure you have enough room in your Dropbox, because if your Dropbox gets full, it'll just stop, and that's always fun. The second thing is it's the internet upload speed that's slowing you down there. My guess is you're probably a CenturyLink customer or a DSL customer. They typically get slower upload speeds than cable modem customers do, or satellite customers for that matter. Cheryl and Rich, good to have you guys. Carolyn Lloyd from Round Rock, Texas. Good to have you. Good morning from Round Rock, Texas. Thanks to Brian in Omaha for going the extra mile this week. Hey, Carolyn, no, it's not a problem at all. We appreciate you. Good morning, Leslie. Good morning, Top Fan Mark. Did you receive my message regarding the address of the Lincoln Service Center and the business cards being incorrect? I did, and I knew that was there. And I was hoping to get through the batch of business cards before anybody else noticed. Because, okay, so here's the thing, guys. The front of our building faces 15th Street, which is like a cul-de-sac of apartment complex buildings. The side of our building in Lincoln that you see while you're driving down 14th Street is 14th Street. So when we put the address on there, in my head before I actually checked it, I said it's on 14th Street. So it's 7501, I know that, South 14th Street. There we go. So we put that on the business cards. It is incorrect. I know it's incorrect. I knew it before it was incorrect. I think you're the only person that's ever tried to mail us anything from the address on the business card. It is correct on the website. But yes, we're trying to get through this box of business cards. We're trying to be frugal business owners and get through the box of business cards before we change it on the next run. But good catch, good catch. I should give you a cookie or something for that one, Mark. You're the first person who noticed, and that shop's been open. It'll be a year in January. Good to have you, Richard. Good morning, Jeff. Eileen, unfortunately, you are correct about the courts. Being a pragmatist, it's not always fun. Thor, you would make an awesome government teacher from a business teacher of 45 years here in Iowa. Oh, I don't know if you want me teaching kids. I'm a scout leader, and that's, sometimes even then, it's like, anytime we light a fire, for some reason, they always feel the need to remind me about the dead out rule. The fire has to be dead out so you can touch it with your hand before you leave. It's not like I left, raging infernos behind me before, burnt down forests or anything. Anyway, I think I may have made a comment one time in jest, and then all of a sudden that became like a thing, right? So Mary always gives me a hard time about dead out the fire, because she's from Colorado, so it's a really big deal there. Thank you for the compliment, Eileen. I appreciate it. Yeah. Technology point on the election. When I heard that the machines were connected to the internet, fraud was almost guaranteed. A couple of years ago, I already spoke with some developers in town who work for the Omaha company that makes those machines. It was noted as a security issue that they should never be connected to the internet. In fact, if you go to that company's website, their production video talks about the security and not to be connected to the internet. All right. So this is interesting, guys, because the problem is there was an update that was installed the day before the election. There's only one way to broadcast an update to all those machines at the same time. Unless you're going to go from machine to machine to machine with a card, which would be a nightmare process to do, by the way. You gotta download it over the internet, right? So there's a difference between a computer that is never connected to the internet and a computer that is not connected to the internet right now. There's a difference, right? So in the voting machines, for example, we connect them to the internet before the election, we get all their updates, then we disconnect them from the internet for the purposes of the election. So there's no possibility that anyone can monkey with the vote totals. And what no one had considered before was that the monkeying would have already been done through the patch before. Smart computer people were like, duh. Governmental people are not smart computer people in almost every case and in almost every sense of the word. They're just not. Hillary Clinton, bleach bit, like wipe it with a cloth? I don't know if she was being facetious there or serious. I can't tell. We just don't know. Maybe she thought that you wiped a computer with a cloth. We wipe them with cloths too, Hillary, but that's not the kind of wipe we're talking about here. So anyway, yeah. But here's the thing. What are you going to do about it? So all these states have the Dominion voting systems. What are they going to do about it? They've made these huge investments in this voting tech. What are you going to do about that? I mean, I see an opportunity for Scantron here, right? Remember the old Scantron, number 2 pencil fill in the bubble? Another great Omaha company, right? Running through the Scantron. I don't know. Guys. If you fill out with a Sharpie or not. You fill out with the pen they're giving to you, right? How many people brought their own pen to the voting booth? People might have been thinking about COVID or something, but they were sanitizing the pens. It was nuts. In fact, they told us to take the pen with us. They were giving a free pen to everybody that voted. And I was like, well, if you're going to give away a free pen to everybody that votes, you at least need to print something on it. Like rah, rah, re freedom or something. You need to print something on the pen. Just giving away a Bic. It's a little anticlimactic here. How about an I voted pen? Then you could save money on the stickers. See, that's how small business people think. Got to have the stickers. They should have had endpoint Sophos from Schrock to protect us all. But here's the thing. Sophos doesn't protect you from software that works as it's intended to work. I know you're joking there, but if let's say, for example, you have those of you who have Secure Updater, you are trusting Schrock Innovations with the permission to install updates on your computer for third-party software. We can install anything we want through that program. Now, obviously, the terms of service tell you exactly what we will do, and we stick with that. But if we were nefarious and we wanted to, do something bad, we could infect every single user with a virus. Or something like that, or install a program that we have a financial interest in. You guys all have this on your computers, didn't you know? We can do that. We don't do that because once you do that, you lose all trust and faith. And when your business is security, you got to have trust and faith. When your business is voting, you got to have trust and faith. So what's going to happen next election? Are we going to get rid of the Dominion voting systems? Are the states going to make an investment? Are we going to have a national infrastructure thing? You know, can't we get some ID laws for voting, please? At least for absentee ballots of some sort, where we have to request them. They can't just be mailed out. You know, something like that. I don't know. Maybe we have a different way that we handle it in retirement homes, you know, to prevent ballot harvesting there. I don't know. They will get Biden in, and then the left will start working to remove him and put in Harris on the cards. Okay. I saw the funniest. Okay. So, not political at all, guys. I'm not saying I want anything bad to happen to anybody. It's certainly not the solution to anybody's problem. But it was like a church, right? And there was because we all know the Catholics go to church, and we know Joe Biden is a Catholic. So he was in the front pew, right? And behind him, I don't know if Harris is a Catholic, but she had a gun to the back of his head. And behind Harris, there was Nancy Pelosi, and she had a gun to the back of Kamala Harris's head. And then they zoom out, and way up in the rafters, up high, is Hillary Clinton with a sniper rifle. And she's like, I gotcha. You know, it was one of those, like, you know, isn't that the truth, right? You know, I'm not going to wish ill will on anybody. I'm not going to hope or root for somebody to have a mental problem, or hope or root for somebody to not, you know, finish a term in office because of a health condition or something like that. Whoever our president is, I hope that person is healthy, and that I hope that they make good decisions for the country. We can all disagree on what good decisions are. That's part of politics, but, you know, I don't want to see somebody assassinated, or, you know, but, you know, there's a lot of people who believe that basically that Biden was a shill for a more liberal or left-wing or almost communist ideology. I don't think he believes that stuff, honestly. I really don't. I don't know how you get to that point in your life and believe that stuff. But I do believe he's a politician, and he will, if the political winds say he needs to believe that stuff to get elected, he will give it the lip service it needs to be given to get elected. That's what a politician does, right? Now the question is if he's actually going to follow through on it, and if the Republicans hold the Senate, it gives him a lot of cover. It will have to be biblical. Yeah, it would have to be biblical, wouldn't it? Prepare for the Trump News Network. You know, and that's the thing. Would you trust the Trump News Network? It would be the same thing that Newsmax is giving us, that Liberty Daily is giving us. It's just another competitor in that space. I'm telling you, the reason that Fox News became Fox News is because they were fair and balanced. If you have a fair and balanced news network, you're going to win. That's what people want. You're going to win. Now, if the Trump News Network does that, he's going to win. Knock on wood, looking for wood to knock on. A lot of folks will be living in government housing as the bailout becomes acquiring properties from bankrupt owners. I hope it doesn't come to that. I genuinely, you know, one of the coolest things to do with your kids, if you're stuck in a quarantine, for example, History Channel did this series called "The Men That Made America," and it's such an inspirational story about like bootstrap living, the way things used to be. And it's also depressing because as a kid you're watching it, you're thinking, whoa, that's cool. And as an adult you're watching it and say, that could never happen today. You know, the story of how Rockefeller went to war with the railroads, how moving oil became everything to everybody. And then Edison came along, and then there was Tesla. And they went through all these men of the early 19th century through the Industrial Revolution that literally changed the country, the men who made America. And it was like a multi-part series. I would highly recommend it if you can get it on DVD or if they have it on demand or something. Definitely watch it. It's a good series. But, you know, I hope it doesn't come to that. I would like to hope that America could be the country where anybody can, you know, decide that they're going to do something different or decide that they're going to do something better, or they see an opportunity and leverage it. Saw a quote somewhere that pessimists see problems with every opportunity, and optimists see opportunity in every problem. You know, America is a place where we see opportunity in our problems. There's something good that can come from it. I hope that we don't end up, falling down this rabbit hole. Lincoln Electric System last week actually, and I have to look into this because I got the email notification from Liba about it. But basically, the gist of it is they're going to be they want the city of Lincoln to be fully electric by 2040. What does fully electric mean? All the electric will be produced through renewable means, or the majority of it, but everything in the town will be electric. Which means, after this passes, if your gas range breaks, you are prohibited from purchasing a gas range in the city of Lincoln. You're required to purchase an electric range. Oh, you don't have an outlet there? Guess you're going to have to hire an electrician too. Sorry. And they freely admit that the prices that people in Lincoln will pay for electricity are going to double under this plan, necessarily double. And it's, you just look at this and like, this isn't like a legislature or a city council. This is the electric board. When is the last time you paid attention to who you voted for the flippin' electric board? Wow. You know, it's just amazing that this kind of stuff can happen in America. They can tell you what stove to buy now. They already tell you what toilet to buy. We already got over that. Can't have the big flushing toilet anymore. You got to have the little flushing toilet. Now they're telling you what stove you're going to buy. And anybody who knows, like, electric ovens aren't bad. Actually, they're pretty even. They do a good job baking. Electric ranges blow. They're awful. Think about a restaurant. You're going to run electric appliances in a restaurant? Do they even make commercial electric appliances? You can't use residential appliances in a restaurant. Is there going to be a carve out for businesses? There wasn't anything that I saw. In fact, it was the Lincoln Independent Business Association sending out the alert. So I'm guessing it encompasses businesses, but it's just like there's cuckoo stuff all around us, guys. So pick your cuckoo that you can control and control it. Because there's so much, if you try to control it all, you'll just go nuts. Morning, Deborah. Thank you for Ryan, Deborah says. Papillion store, super helpful, very patient. Ryan is a rock star. He's a good guy. All right. So I think I've covered everything that I promised you guys I was going to cover on the show today so far. What I want to know is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you'd like me to cover? I really, guys, the stuff with this coronavirus, the infection rates are going way up. We can all argue about, you can argue that the PCR test is garbage, that it detects the common cold as a coronavirus. So, yeah, it's going up. It's wintertime. You can argue that the most people are asymptomatic. And so in what other disease ever, are you considered infected if you don't have symptoms? Like, do you have the flu if you don't exhibit symptoms? So we can argue about that stuff all day long, right? And you're not going to solve anything for anybody on that. What you can't argue about is that hospitalization rates are going up. Now, the thing with hospitals are businesses. So everyone says, the hospital is almost at capacity. The hospital is designed to run at capacity all the time. That's how hospitals make money. They don't keep, 25 floors of empty beds just in case there's a, massive shooting or a pandemic. Dust them off, let's go. They don't do that. That's not how hospitals work. Hospitals are like hotels. They get paid when people are in the beds. So you're going to only have enough hospital rooms for what you think you need. So if the ICUs are at capacity, the ICU is designed to run at capacity. It's supposed to be at capacity. Now the problem is if it exceeds capacity. So to the average layperson, when you say it's already at capacity, the next little nudge will push us over the edge. It's a fear inducer, right? When you talk to people who actually work in hospitals, and of course, there are some people on different sides of the spectrum. I've got some people on Facebook that I have to actively resist blocking because I'm trying not to create an echo chamber where I don't hear other ideas. But literally, when the spokesperson for UNMC gets on there and starts preaching to me about Thanksgiving dinner, I have some choice thoughts at that moment about how much I want to hear from that person ever again. Anyway, the long and the short of it, guys, is people are going to the hospital. People are getting sick. Some people are dying. I know 2 family friends that have their fathers in the hospital right now and their mothers in the hospital right now. Real people are getting this, and real people are suffering. My uncle got it. He had a couple days where he had trouble breathing. Now, my uncle is a 400-pound man. He's got some pre-existings, if you know what I mean. He's fine. He's better now. I saw him this week. Went and visited him. He's fine. So, you know what? People get over this. They heal. Some people don't. And so we got to be... I'm not going to hide in my basement and cancel Thanksgiving and cancel Christmas because I'm worried that I'm going to become a super spreader. If I have symptoms, that's when you spread a disease. When you're sneezing, coughing, you don't just breathe and spread a disease. It's not how it works. You have to have a symptom, but usually. Now, maybe coronavirus is different. It's a different disease. We don't know a ton about it. We know a lot, but not a ton. So maybe it's different, right? Better to be cautious, right? Okay, that's fine. But there comes a point, like I said, I'd give anything to have my dad over for Thanksgiving this year. And he had heart disease, stage 4 heart disease. He's got a huge pre-existing. And I would have had him over for Thanksgiving all the same. Not going to get that opportunity now. So, there's a cost to not doing things too. So I guess the thing to keep in mind, guys, is when you read the stories and you hear this stuff in the media, I don't know what it is that makes people want to hear bad news. That it seems to me right now that people are like energized by it. They feed on it. It's like I can spread more negative news than you can, faster than you can, and my negative news is worse than your news. Oh, and after you absorb it all, you just feel awful, right? So here's the thing. Be prepared for the holidays this year. Go get the stuff that you guys need for your families so that you can have a comfortable holiday with your families. Whatever that is. If you need 5,000 rolls of toilet paper to do that, by God, it's America. Go buy yourself some TP, man. If you need some gingerbread cookies to do that, get some gingerbread cookies. It's like, have your holiday, right? Keep those traditions going. The thing about politics is there's always another fight. There's always another fight. So 2 years from now, you're going to decide the fate of the House of Representatives. There's always another fight. Pick your hill, fight on that hill, and there comes a point when you have to stop. And I'm not giving anyone any advice. I'm not saying that people should stop fighting or start fighting or anything like that. All I'm saying is that find that peace for your family, in your life, in your house, so that you are not anxious all the time. All these people have anxiety problems. No wonder. Look at all these people saying so much negative stuff all the time. And you're just absorbing it all the time. Just turn it off. I had to. It was just like, you know what? I'm just hearing so much negative. I'm not going to watch the news anymore. I'm not going to listen to the news. I'm going to read once or twice a day maybe. I'll read some headlines, skim through some stuff. If I see something interesting, I might look into it. But I don't need to absorb it 24 hours a day anymore. I just don't. So I would encourage you to think about that too when you're planning your holidays. Make sure that you've got everything that you guys need, from like food, for all the things you want to make. Go get that turkey now. Don't wait. Do your Christmas shopping now. My goodness. We went to Target. We took pictures of things in the aisles that we thought our kids would want so we could send them to grandmas, grandpas, and everything to go buy toys. Those toys are all gone at Target. The Barbie toys are wiped at Target. So I know you come to me for your news on Barbie toys, but I mean, they are wiped. So we went to Walmart, and they were getting close to wiped. But we found like the Barbie section overflowed into like the remote control car section for boys. And those Barbie toys were all stocked. So we were able to get what we needed. It's going to be tight. So get your Christmas shopping done a little bit early this year. Especially if you're going to order online. You pretty much need to be buying it right now to get a guarantee of delivery by Christmas. All right, time to wrap it up, guys. I can turn off the news and watch Christmas movies. Oh, not the Hallmark Channel. Don't tell me you're going to do that, Carolyn. I don't know. You got to watch you got to watch Christmas with the Cranks. You got to watch that one. You got to watch Deck the Halls. That's classic. You got to watch that one. Miracle on 34th Street. You got to watch that one. So yeah, I mean, like I said, do the traditions. Do the things you always do with your families, guys. All right. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody too. I couldn't say that during the show because it airs tape delayed sometimes, so I couldn't say Happy Thanksgiving. But have a happy Thanksgiving. Gather with your families if you're comfortable doing so. If you're not, find what works for you. Just have a good holiday. That's all you can do right now, right? All right, wrapping it up, guys. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you all again next weekend. Tune in Sunday morning at 7 for another edition of Compute This. Thanks a lot and have a great day.